with a smile on your face. When you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are chatting this morning with Marcus Daniel and Ashelle Legall, both sports officers, one within the sports and education, sport and education unit attached to the tech. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning to you.
Now, our focus this morning is on the sports program in our schools. And I'm really happy to have you both on with us. Now, before we get into the meat of the interview, remind us this morning, this is not a new unit, is it?
It's not. No.
But it was not under DTech all the time.
No, initially it would have been under the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport when they were one division.
Right.
And when the division divided and sport went their way, we remained with the Division of Education.
Okay, nice. So let's clear that up. All right. So we're gonna switch. We're talking about sport in schools.
Mm-hmm.
Why was there a separate unit for sport or dealing with sports and education?
Okay, so what we are responsible for is creating the initial sporting experience for a child. Mm-hmm. As we all know that there are rights of a child and a child deserves the right to play. Exposing these students to physical activity, competitive sport, and more or less facilitating their introduction into sport is more or less how most of them branch off into sport, hopefully progress into clubs, progress into national scenes, progress into national scholarships and that kind of stuff. We have had a lot of national players who would have been a part of our programs,
yes,
who would have gone on to make national teams, to have scholarships, to more or less having a better quality of life in the end.
Yeah, and just to jump in, just to add what Ashelle have said there, and you asked a question about why the need for sport in education. Mm-hmm. And before the unit was created, the job of sport in schools, that was done by sport teachers.
Right.
And obviously, the difficulty in trying to create to finalize your syllabus in schools,
right,
and also to do sport. And what we do is it's no easy task, and I can't ask teachers basically to be in classroom and also to execute sport in schools.
And I'm glad that you raised that issue there, Marcus, because I was going to ask, what is the difference between what we know as physical education in schools, which is a part of the school program, and what you are doing with regards sport and education?
Yeah, so we are charged with the promotion, the execution of sport in schools. So like events, we do cricket, we do we do football.
But is it a part of what we know as physical education, or is it separate from?
It's separate.
It's separate. It's separate.
So the physical education aspect is done by teachers who are tasked with that. What we do is more or less create the avenues for them to test their skills.
For the students to test their skills.
Yes. So for example.
And is this done within the school curriculum,
correct,
school program?
Yeah.
So everything is done within the school year. We have a calendar of events that occur. So there are specific sports that happen at specific times of the year as well. So nothing clashes. We more or less tailor it so it doesn't obstruct too much of the class time. And we also put it in a way whereby everyone overall benefits. So we more or less take the burden from these teachers from having to attend national meetings, having to coordinate, plan, get suppliers, create rules, the education part, officials, that kind of stuff. We do the brunt of the work.
Yeah, and even the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, they have coaches and they have PE, what we call PE teachers, physical education teachers. So they do that aspect of physical activity. And we basically enhance it by doing the events, just to test where they are at in terms of the different disciplines. And primary school level, that's the foundation. And we do also partner sometimes or collaborate with the secondary schools as well. They also have their committee, and you know that tomorrow and Thursday at the Right York Stadium, they have their national meet, and officers will normally go there and assist in the execution of that event.
All right. What about early childhood education that falls under the division and/or Ministry of Education? Are they also a part of this? Would they also benefit from the sport and education units?
Yeah. Some of the ECCE, they normally request officers to come and assist with their sport meet. And obviously, with our expertise, we normally go and assist. But in terms of creating events within that sector, we really don't. But we assist when they request, yes.
All right. Okay. Now, what happens? Because I heard you mention, either one of you mentioned earlier on that there are opportunities through the unit, based on what you do, for persons to attain scholarships So how do you?
Over the STT.
Okay, so what we would have done, there was a year where we were started the SAT program, whereby assisting secondary school children with the SATs, the model system, attaining scholarships in the US. That's one thing that we do. What we also do via football is that we have a lot of persons who would have made national team through football, through our program as well. So what would happen is that after the football season is completed, which is held from the first term, which is September to November, December thereabouts, there's usually a camp that they have whereby selectors come and persons for the junior national teams are selected from there.
Yeah. And I mean, at the schools level, that's the foundation. The athletes are actually learning. They dabble in different sporting disciplines. Sometimes you see an athlete doing track and field and really good. Then you see them doing football. Then you see them doing cricket. And at this level, it's just about sport for all and about participation. And you also find scouts. And some clubs and some coaches will be at these events looking to scout athletes for their clubs. And we as a sporting education unit, we welcome clubs taking these talented athletes into their club to enhance what we put out there on a yearly basis in terms of events.
Now, is it that the students must be attached to a school/club?
So not school, no clubs. Clubs have no merit or bearing in what we do. Our priority is making sure that this child has a good experience while at school.
But there are opportunities while at school to attain scholarships.
Yes.
Yes,
they are.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there an age range that scouts would be looking for?
Well, it all depends on what they want. So basically, primary school is children from the ages of 5 to about 13, 14 for the most.
Right, some of them
thereabouts. It all depends on what that person is looking for. So, and with secondary schools are much older age range. So it all depends on what they are looking for. So we try to assist as much as possible when need be.
All right. So give us a breakdown in terms of what a day is like in the life of a sports officer attached to a school. So you go in.
Okay, so we can talk about this term. So this term we are going to be, we are presently having track and field, and we are going to be starting cricket today as well.
Okay.
So basically an average day would be contacting suppliers, contacting schools, receiving registration, verifying registration, creating forms, creating start sheets, creating a layout of the event, more or less doing logistics, having to more or less look at the possible thing that will happen, creating solutions for that, then getting volunteers, then getting equipment. It's a lot of work.
Why did the division feel the need to have this unit established?
I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I think before the unit was created, the onus on all these things that Ashelle mentioned in terms of contacting supply on the teacher, the sport teacher. I'm not sure if you remember Mr. Kenny Crooks, God rest his soul, right? He was attached at Ponokon Primary School, and he was basically doing everything, cricket, football. And it's, as I mentioned before, the primary school level, that's where, that's the foundation. And you want to ensure that, the country continues producing top athletes. And before they get to adult stage, this is the level that you want the professionals, like we are sport officers and there are coaches now within the schools doing the different disciplines, cricket, football, basketball, developing and honing their skills. So I think this particular unit is one of the most important units within our division because, I mean, the benefits of sport and just physical activity, I can stay whole day and list all those benefits. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to participate in sport. It has taken me all over the world.
Yes.
And we expect that, the schools and the athletes that we oversee, that they will also have that opportunity to showcase their skill at the primary, secondary, and of course, tertiary level.
All right. You wanted to add?
No.
Oh. So you are contacted by the schools?
Yes.
Or you plan your program and you visit schools periodically?
Yeah, so like yearly, every term, we have termly meetings with. So we will communicate with the principals because we have to communicate with the principals. We are also under school supervision. So we plan our we plan our programs.
Don't worry about it.
We plan our
We all go through it. Happened to me
we plan our
yesterday. Go
programs.
ahead.
We plan our programs, and we communicate with the school supervision. We communicate with the principals at the schools, and you know, we have the termly meetings. We express to them that we have these events planned for this term. They in turn ask questions. They share their concerns, suggestions, and all these different things. It's a collaborative effort between us and the principals, and they in turn will probably appoint a sport teacher to ensure that the programs are executed within the calendar.
So how many sporting disciplines do you cover per term, per school?
So per term, we try to do 1 or 2 because of the amount of work that it takes. So usually in the first term, September to December, we do 1, which is football. In the second term, we do track and field and cricket. In the third term, we do netball, track and field, and cricket.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just to add, out of what the 33 primary schools that we have in Tobago,
No, actually 40.
well, 40, we have majority, well, not all schools will participate.
We have at least a 90%
but yes,
participation rate.
yeah. So we really appreciate all the schools coming out and support, and I must say kudos to the principals, because sometimes they will look at, you know, you have C exam coming up, we have this happening, not just sport, but we have also agriculture in schools, we have drama in schools, and
There's
we
a
have to
lot of
look
things
at
happening at the same time.
the whole term to see what they can factor in sport. But we really try to urge and encourage them to at least have the
sports as a priority.
Yes, have sport as a priority.
I didn't hear anybody mention swimming. Is swimming not on the list of these
Well, due
disciplines?
to the fact that it's going to be reintroduced, hopefully soon, we actually intend to add a few new sports to the roster. We just can't reveal it yet until it's released.
Apart from the usual football and cricket,
there are some new ones that are going to be added, so that is something to look forward to.
and I think widening the gap here, widening the play field for our young players.
Let's give them different opportunities, because at this age, at their age right now, it's about playing. Not singling out a particular sporting discipline to just say, I want to be a cricketer. We want them to play everything. Everything.
And I think the more thing that they're exposed to, it actually helps with their growth and development. It also helps with their cognitive thinking and their ability to make a decision to say, okay, this is for me. I can do well at this. I need to work on this. It actually helps with the development overall.
Okay, I have to congratulate you. Now, we know Marcus. When Marcus eats, breathes, sleeps, talks, dreams, sport. Now, what is the next step for the unit? What are some of the things, some of your plans for the term, the year? Apart from the new disciplines that you can't reveal just yet.
Well, the first term is normally from September come down to December. So we had football there.
Right.
You know, unfortunately, we didn't have the nationals, but we were able, thanks to the Tobago House of Assembly, for supporting our proposal to have the event, because obviously we just came out of COVID.
Right.
So the nationals, they weren't able to put things in place to have a national champion, but we did have a Tobago champion. It was Signal Hill on the 12.
Yes, for the boys, WIM for the girls, and St. Andrews for the boys under 15.
Yeah, so congratulations to those teams.
Congratulations.
And then obviously we started track and field in January.
Right.
And we had this zonal. So we have what we call Leeward A, Leeward B, North Side, and Windward. So we divided the island into those.
Leeward A,
Leeward B, North, and Windward.
Leeward A would be
schools in the town area. So that would be like Scarborough RC, St. Andrews, Lambeau,
over 8 or 9
Pentecostal. So there are 9 schools in Leeward A. There are 8 schools in Leeward B.
Leeward B would be where?
Bonaccord, Buku, Blackrock. North Side would be Costara, Palativale, Lansing. And Windward is Ebenezer, Charlottesville, Speyside.
So we divided, and we would have had these zonals for the track and field at the Dwight York Stadium. And on March 7th, I'm telling everybody now, the place to be is the Dwight York Stadium.
March 7th, next week,
yes,
Tuesday.
Yes. We're going to have our Tobago Championship. Right?
And this is on all the events?
Yes. It is going to be all the schools. So what we do, all the primary schools competing against each other for whole reign supreme.
The rivalry is, trust me, it's off the hook.
So is it that there will be no school on that day? Is it that all schools head to
most schools once you have one, because from the zonals, it's the top 2 athletes will go forward to the championship.
Right.
So if it is that all the schools have someone participating, then normally will come and give bring that support. I'm telling you, drums, rhythm section, everything, there's normally they play for the championship.
Primary schools.
Yes.
Easy.
Yeah. And we would have had also relay festival. I'm not sure. Well, at the national level, relay carries a lot of points, and we have since introduced it in the Tobago space to ensure that our schools are custom running relays. And Ashelle, I'm sure you want to mention some of our volunteers who normally assist us on a daily basis.
So we have so many persons that contribute to the success of this because we can't do it alone. It's a small unit, but we pride ourselves and we are really thankful for those persons in Tobago who volunteer, who give up themselves willingly. We have persons like Kelsey to sing to read. Yeah. We have Mr. Colin.
Deeply rooted in sports. Yes. And David Strick is buried at sports.
We have Mr. Colin Mark. Yes, we have persons from the Department of Sport, the SCOs, we have Karen Williams and so forth. We have actually some new volunteers bringing on. So what we try to do every year is to at least bring two new persons to more or less teach them what we do. That way we have a bit more longevity.
Right.
And to me, the more persons who know how to do this, the easier our work will be. So that we can have capacity. We try to build capacity as much as possible. So we are really thankful for every single person that comes and gives up their time. We are so thankful because without them, this would just be a dream.
So we had a relay, and today we're going to have cricket. I call it a soft opening. They're going to have a skills competition. We should have 15 schools participating today at the Shore Park Recreation Ground, starting at 10 a.m. We expect to see some skills like batting, bowling, fielding, catching, and all these different things happening today at Shore Park. The schools are excited, and I'm excited as well, of course, cricket. And come next week we have the championship, and then we have a big one later on, and I'll allow Ashelle to announce that one in May.
And this is open to boys and
boys
girls.
and yes. So in May, yes.
So in May, Tobago is tasked with hosting the National Tricky Road Race, which will be all the educational districts will be coming to Tobago in May the 12th, which is a Friday. So since that we have hosting rights this year, we would have designed the routes. We have to plan and implement everything. So we are presently in that stage. We have already finalized our routes. I can't reveal that yet.
No.
So we are basically planning the routes and more or less preparing. We have already hosted our Tobago leg of the 3K, which was won by a young lady from Bethesda. And Nakishra Samuel from Bethesda. And we are hoping to retain our title because in 2019, prior to COVID, Tobago would have won the National 3K. We would have been the champion district at National 3K, and we were also the champion district at the National Track and Field.
COVID overshadowed everything.
That's a big thing because the districts, they are very competitive. And then some of them are bigger than us.
Very good. I'm sorry, I thought it was all.
Some of the districts, they have more competing athletes than us.
And they are a lot bigger than us because our district 40 schools and some of the other district 100 schools. So the fact that we have such a small group and we're able to make an impact and compete and win, that says a lot.
Well, I tell you, great things always come out of Tobago. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Even when we go to Trinidad, put under pressure, go down on the boat, have nowhere to sleep, not sure where you're getting food from. We always do well. I'm just saying. We triumph in the midst of adversity. I'm just saying.
And we intend to retain our national title in May. I know that everyone is coming for us, which we love.
You're up to the challenge.
Yes, we are definitely up to the challenge, and we are not worried at all because we are definitely putting things in place to make sure that our students have the best possible opportunity to compete and win.
All right. But I want to thank you guys for being on the program with us. Certainly lots of exciting things happening here with regards to sport in education. So it's not just physical education. No, there's a plan. There is a plan in place. All right, so we're going to keep locked and loaded to what will be happening for the rest of the year. Of course, feel free to give us a little heads up and say, hey, don't forget next week we have XYZ. Okay, so we can definitely promote it.
Most definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
So thank you again.
Thanks,
viewers, our pleasure indeed. Viewers, just before we wrap things up, we're heading over to our next interview. But we want to remind you that later on today, 1 p.m. at the Buku Integrated Facility, the homegoing service of Kabesi, Purnell, Winchester, Purnell, Kabesi, Winchester. Later on today, 1 p.m. So inviting the communities to come on out, and it's certainly going to be a celebration of life. This was my friend, my schoolmate, a gentleman indeed, a soldier being laid to rest. So we want to encourage you and invite you to come on out and support the family and friends. Well, we are going to switch gears. We've got lots more coming up on the Tobago Updates morning show. Julian is going to be joining me in just a little bit, and we focus a little bit more on the scrap iron dealers, in fact the Scrap Metal Act, and what's been happening with scrap iron dealers throughout Trinidad and Tobago. So remember, viewers, share the live, share the live, share the live.